What's up, influencers, and welcome to the Video Influencers Show. We're going to be talking all things tech. We've got a special guest, Andru Edwards, who is a tech influencer, has been doing tech videos, reviews, news on his channel for quite a while. What's going on, Andru?
Not too much, man. You invited me to come by. I'm like, hey, I'm in town.
Yes.
Of course I'm going to say yes.
Absolutely. And, you know, you and I, we've known each other for a few years now, and I've known about your hustle behind the scenes and have always been honored to talk to you. So I'm even more honored that you can share your journey, your stories, your tips, advice for people just starting on YouTube, especially in the tech space. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And in fact, it's also an honor for me. And you may not know this, but you interviewed me a few years ago.
Yes.
At, what was the event called?
Vlogger Fair.
Vlogger Fair.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that interview so much that it was pinned to my Twitter account from the day it went live until like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, dang.
Yes.
Well, now hopefully this will be the new pinned one. No pressure. But no, I mean, it was a great interview. Even for me, I learned so much from you, from those interviews. That's actually one of the reasons why I love Video Influencers, this channel, because I get to meet people and ask the questions I want to know the answers to. Obviously, valuable for people. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody. If you guys leave your questions in the chat area, we will try to answer as many as possible. We are talking about tech and everything to do with technology on YouTube, on social media. You know, Andru, he's been going to all kinds of industry events, working with brands for his passion around tech. So that would be very relevant. And we're going to get started, with all the different questions here soon. Let me know where you're watching from. But my first question for you, since you just came back from CES, is what was your favorite new tech that creators should pay attention to right now?
Creators in particular, so not people.
Yeah, creators particularly.
Creators in particular, I would say it's still going to be a little too early for this. Yeah. But 8K is going to be getting a huge push.
Wow.
Like all the best feature. Every year CES is like 1/3 a TV show.
Yeah.
Here's all the new TVs that are coming.
Yeah.
And this year, all the new TV tech, like all the new features are being prioritized towards the 8K TVs. So if you're looking at 1080p, I don't even know if they had 1080p
That's
TVs
crazy.
on the show floor. But even the 4K TVs, which were still fairly new as of last year, they're not getting all the new features and updates that the 8K TVs are getting. So I would say it doesn't mean go start shooting in 8K, but really start thinking about starting to publish in 4K. Just to, you want your content to look good where people are watching. And a lot of these TVs are being optimized now for streaming services, including YouTube. They want to push YouTube on TV. You want your content to look good.
For on that note, great question. Have you found that influencers or creators that creating content in 4K get an edge on other people? Like, do you think platforms like YouTube or even maybe Facebook Watch or maybe IG, definitely not IGTV, but just YouTube generally, they like that 4K, and will that be the same for 8K? Like if they start filming in that and putting out content like that?
I think the answer is yes, because, and this is just it's a suspicion of mine. But anytime you can get YouTube to tag your video with a piece of metadata. So for example, if you do closed captions, you get the little CC tag. If you publish a new video, you get new for it's like a week or two. It says new. If you publish in 4K, you get a 4K tag, which means they're obviously tracking that. So I would assume if you're watching on a device that supports 4K, they may be bubbling up those videos a little more to those people. Again, it's just a suspicion, but why else would they be tracking that and tagging it?
Oh, I totally agree. Ultimately it comes down to the quality. Like, what is it? Like, and people could care less about those little things, those nuances, if the content is crappy, right? But if it's great, sometimes they'll be forgiving. I mean, like, I don't know, like, one of your videos that we're going to be showing later, it was like some crazy 140p or something like that, right? It was,
but I don't even know what you guys are going to be doing.
The reason I'm excited about what you're saying is even on Facebook, I remember when you would go live, like years ago now, like 3 or 4 years ago, they were letting your business or fan pages get into people's Facebook feed notifications.
Yes.
So the notifications usually are just for your family and friends, people that's part of your circle.
Yeah.
But they were letting you be one of those little markers, the little red dots. So that's a small little nuance that people probably didn't even realize that makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
So this is why I'm asking about the 8K, obviously, and currently 4K, because I do believe that at the end of the day, quality is important. But with it being so competitive, you want that edge. You literally want, like, what is the smallest little thing I can do to be a little bit ahead of the other guy, right? That's not paying attention to those things. Like, what is the extra 10 to 30 minutes of work that's going to be most valuable?
I agree with that.
And that's why I'm curious about 4 and 8K. Now, speaking of TVs, one thing that's interesting is the fact that so many people are consuming YouTube on TVs now,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I do constantly. I'm always, what do you call it when you Google Cast or Chromecast, right?
Yeah, you just cast to your TV.
That's crazy. What are your thoughts when it comes to, because for a while there, I thought it was going to be the death of TVs. I even thought that. I was like, there's no way I'm ever taking my TV off my wall. But then I would talk to young people and they're watching on laptops, on their devices, obviously like a majority of reviews. Oh, by the way, thank you, Fun Chris, for this super chat. What is your thoughts when it comes to maybe the comeback of TVs, or were they even gone ever?
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because I don't know if it's a trend that's happening where people are starting to watch YouTube on their TVs. I think it might be because YouTube's pushing it and all the TV manufacturers are pushing it too. Yeah. But I'm also wondering, it's just because you and I are old.
Yeah,
like let's just be honest.
We're definitely old.
We're not the young people who are watching YouTube on mobile all day and night.
Yeah.
But it seems to make sense. Like when I watch, the majority of my YouTube watching takes place on a TV.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting down. I might have my laptop in my lap doing some work.
Yeah.
But I want to do research, or I want to look at something. I find that, you know, for the many reasons that everybody likes YouTube, I can get hyper focused and watch exactly what I want to see, rather than sitting through a 30-minute or 60-minute show that may be entertaining, but it's not really you know, doing a lot for me. Interestingly enough, this year, there are TV manufacturers that are releasing TVs that they look like a normal TV.
Yeah.
But if you cast from your phone
and
you're watching vertical content, the actual TV set will rotate.
Oh, crazy.
So now you're watching the vertical content full screen rather than with the bars, you know, the huge black on the sides.
Okay, that's mind-blowing.
And then when you go back to regular content, the TV will swivel back automatically.
Oh, my
Now that is interesting for the social media era. Yeah. Because if you want to watch TikTok, or you want to watch IGTV, or you want to watch stories or whatever it is, but you want to watch it on a big screen, usually you're watching a thin strip with black taking up the majority, right? So now it's turning the TV and you're getting to watch a full screen experience. So that's cool.
That is not only cool, that's something, by the way, I spilled water if you guys wonder, like where it's a random spot. But that is crazy, because I've always wondered how it is that the vertical video world would ever be able to compete with the TVs or even movies. And that blows my mind, because I never even thought of it. Again, this is just me being old and living in the past. The fact that the TV turns and that manufacturers are paying attention to that means that all this content that used to be just kind of like just for phones is now going to be able to compete with movies, you know, with the Netflixes of the world or cable TV, and even just general television like shows and stuff like that. Now, I wonder how quickly it turns, but that doesn't matter. It's the fact that they're even thinking about that.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, vertical video is usually, just by its nature, it's like a one-on. It's meant for one person. Yeah. But there's a lot of times you want to, hey, let's all watch this. Well, no one wants to crowd around a little phone, right? But now you can just cast it right to your TV, and everybody can enjoy it like in the living room.
Yeah. One day it probably won't have an actual screen, so it wouldn't even matter. It's just going to be some kind of projection, right? So it's just going to format to whatever the content is. Yes. You're even seeing that on you know, some platforms where it'll just switch to whatever is being put out to the world, right? Yeah. So that's the thing. Some people, I know this was a big deal for YouTubers when Instagram TV came out. Was like, it was supposed to be for vertical, but then some people were trying to force the
Yes.
wide or whatever, and it was this huge, I wouldn't say controversy, but it was definitely a challenge for people to decide, do I go vertical? Do I film like vertical and horizontal? And it was crazy for a while there. I was going nuts, right? Because I was already doing like Insta stories and everything, but that was just like teasers, and now you have to do full on videos.
Right.
But what are your thoughts? Do you think, especially with not just kids, but everybody consuming things in a vertical manner, that vertical will compete and it will be something that all manufacturers, like from the tech side, as well as creators, have to think about when it comes to creating content? Because there's definitely some people, like my wife and I, generally speaking, outside of Insta stories, it's all horizontal. It's all wide for the vlogs.
Yeah, I think what's most important is respecting whatever platform you're on.
Yeah.
And so when IGTV was vertical only, and I saw people that would publish vertical, but it was just their video turned sideways, so you'd have to turn it.
Yeah.
I felt like you're missing the point. You're not really getting it. And I understand you want to get your content to as many people as possible, and that's something that I preach all the time. But you also have to respect the platform that you're on. And so I do think, I don't know that vertical video is going to overtake horizontal, because I think, movie theaters aren't going to be doing that, and everybody loves watching movies. But I think it will get to a point where it is just as legitimate.
Yeah.
And if it's just as legitimate, then as a creator, I highly recommend that if you're going to be on a platform, respect the platform.
Yeah,
respect
for sure.
what the expectation is of the viewer. So it's not that I'm respecting Instagram as a company. It's that I'm respecting my followers who are on this platform and what their expectations are. I want to deliver what they're hoping to see.
That's the power of social media.
Yeah.
I mean, from MySpace to Facebook and obviously Instagram and YouTube, ultimately, people get what they want to get, right? Versus they're getting whatever is put out to them, like through television. So that's definitely a huge principle. Like in our book, YouTube Secrets, right? We talk about this. We talk about how you want to be native to that platform. I think the two words that I think about is, what is the intention of the person going on that platform, and what is their expectation, right? So the intention being, like Facebook, for example, it might be a quick 5 minutes between work and lunch. They're just trying to like catch up with family and friends. That's their intention. The expectation, they're going to just be updated what's going on, maybe get like a quick news flash or whatever. Same thing with YouTube. Their intention is, and this is why I think YouTube really crushes in terms of video, their intention is to watch videos. And usually with the videos that they're consuming, longer videos, right? Or they're watching a whole bunch, and their intent and their expectation is that they're going to get those videos wide, right? So again, like thinking through all those things is going to help you as a creator, that a lot of people forget, because people were starting to put their I remember Insta stories or Snapchats onto YouTube, right? Thinking, oh, they're going to scale because I don't have to do any work or whatever. But I haven't really seen a lot of success. Have you seen any people have success with vertical videos on YouTube? Because I know that YouTube actually does let you put vertical videos on there.
And it will actually reformat the player to whatever shape. So whether it's a square video or whatever, it'll reformat the player, which is cool. I have experimented with that, and I actually have seen not more success, but it seems like it doesn't matter what format I publish, as long as the content is good, which ultimately at the end of the day, you want to provide good content. But YouTube stories, you can easily repurpose your content from the other platforms there. And it seems that a lot of people neglect YouTube stories these days. But YouTube these days, I mean, you have the community tab, you have stories,
crazy,
you have the feed.
It's almost become like a Facebook.
It's right. It's like it's every format that's out there, YouTube pretty much supports now. You can do text updates, photo updates, videos, stories. Like, don't neglect anything, because the more that you feed YouTube, the more important they're going to see your channel.
And so normally we like to show visuals. And by the way, on this screen, people can see, like you can see what we're showing people. But I don't want you guys to actually show a visual. I just want everybody watching out there to scroll down on your YouTube player, if you're watching this right now at home, just do this. Most likely, you're going to see a whole bunch of YouTube stories down below, right? Or if you search for something, there's going to be a stories tab, right, in the search results. It's YouTube forcing it. The reason I bring this up and why it's significant for people that haven't done it yet, and why it's going to help you, is because whenever YouTube or any platform, they create a new function or a new tool, and they're stuffing it down your throat, like they're like, use this, it's an opportunity to get exposure that you wouldn't otherwise get, right? And I'm finding, and let me know in the comments if you guys also find this as well, that I'm getting YouTube stories from channels I don't even follow. Correct. Sometimes not even in the niche genre or interest of mine. It's just some random channel that is putting it up because they're just trying to show that, hey, people are doing it. In reality, I don't think people are. And it, you know, like the verdict is still out whether it's going to be a relevant thing, it's going to blow up. I actually don't care about that. What I care about is, will people discover me, right? That otherwise wouldn't, because YouTube is giving it so much love.
I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, and have you ever seen that on other platforms? And do you ever capitalize on that? Because that's one thing I really respect about you. And by the way, we did put in the title tech YouTuber, but I know that you don't like that title for yourself. Obviously,
very
on here,
controversial.
You are a tech YouTuber, but let's talk about that, how you've utilized other platforms. And even that title is something you don't really adopt for yourself when you're talking to people, because you want people to know you're all over the place.
It's not just that. So I want people to know I'm all over the place. Yes. But further, I think the more important point, I honestly think the word YouTuber can be dangerous and very limiting. Yeah. The word YouTuber to me is someone who wants to be on YouTube, wants to become famous on YouTube, and obsesses about their subscriber number. Yeah. Like that's their goal. And they're missing the big picture. And the story that I tell about this is there was a kid who would always ask me advice about how to grow on YouTube. Yeah. And I would give him advice. But the thing is, sometimes you can follow advice and you may not get the results, even if you follow it. And the last time I gave him advice, I said, listen, I feel like you're so obsessed with wanting to hit this idea of being a YouTuber that you're missing other opportunities. Yeah. Now, he is a dancer. Yeah. And I said to him, this was before TikTok was TikTok, it was called Musical.ly. I said, you put some of those videos on Musical.ly that you're putting on YouTube, and I bet you blow up. Yeah. So he joins Musical.ly, starts putting videos up. 2 weeks later, he gets an invite to Playlist Live to perform on stage. In front of everyone. In front of everybody, because he decided, you know what, it's not about being a YouTuber, it's about getting my message out to the right platform. Yes. So yes, I'm everywhere because I feel like people want to see you where they are. Now, another thing I firmly believe is, even if you are on YouTube, don't use every other platform to point back to YouTube. If I'm following you on YouTube and also on Instagram, and the only thing you do on Instagram is, hey, new video dropped, head over, swipe up to you. You're annoying. Why am I following you then? Why am I following you here? You're not providing me any additional value here than you are over there. So for me, if I make a video, I'm not making a YouTube video. I'm making a video. It'll go on YouTube. I will also publish it to Facebook. Yeah. I will also publish it to IGTV. Natively, because if I'm on Facebook, that means I want to be there. Yeah. It doesn't mean I want you to take me elsewhere. Yeah. So I'm trying to respect my followers, again, respecting the platform where you are. And so I think content creator makes more sense. And if you notice, by the way, no one ever talks about this, YouTube never calls anybody a YouTuber. Oh, interesting. YouTube says video creators. Or content creators. They don't even use the word YouTuber. They don't even like that branding for whatever reason. Right. I mean, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, to me, the only person that should be saying YouTuber is like a teenager. Yeah. Like a kid. Like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber too. If you're an adult and you want to grow a business and you want to take this seriously, don't take the name of a platform and add an R at the end and then make that your reality. Yeah. Because the other thing is, we've seen several times on YouTube, whether it's adpocalypse or whatever apocalypse happens, if you put all your eggs in that one basket, then your business is at the whim of their decisions. And for me, If YouTube disappeared tomorrow, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm still fine.
Yeah.
So that is a long way of saying I consider myself a content creator and not, you may consider me a YouTuber, but that would be like one small portion of what I do.
For sure. I think that what's interesting is you're planting a flag when you say you're a YouTuber, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're old or young. Like you're saying that is the holy grail for me. And for marketing, especially when you're marketing and advertising the business aspect of your platform or your influence, there can be negative connotations to it.
Yeah.
So it was more so, again, with us old fogies, back in the day, it was almost a joke. You're like, you're a YouTuber? What is that? Right?
For sure.
Now, what's interesting is those young people who were teenagers continued saying they're a YouTuber. Some of them have continued to say they're a YouTuber. Some of them like realize, hey, I should be more of a video creator or an influencer, right? Or have a title that's more appropriate for what it is I ultimately want to do or providing. And so for us, it's interesting because I used the term YouTuber because our whole world is in it, and we've been blessed and fortunate enough to literally have so much opportunity on YouTube, even with the ups and downs. And I think this is one reason. It's interesting too, even the fact that our book is called YouTube Secrets.
Yeah.
Originally, it was called Video Influencer. Video Influencer, self-titled after this channel, because we knew that video was going to be important everywhere.
Yeah.
But we're like, you know what? We want to plant that flag. So there is some value for those, right? And I personally think not just the teenagers, for those that just want to commit to YouTube, but there's a lot of danger in that. Now, with that being said, my wife, who is like the flagship influencer of our brand, has 3 million followers on Facebook, right? We both have healthy influences on all the platforms. So even though we lead casual conversations like, yeah, we're YouTubers, we make daily vlogs, we understand that you got to be on the other platforms and upload natively. Going back to your original comments, like don't just advertise YouTube content. Kind of our general rule is 80% of what goes out to the world should add value to that person on that platform, right? 20% you can advertise what you want wherever. By the way, not just YouTube. Maybe you're selling a product, whatever.
Right.
But 80%. So, for example, this is the power of having YouTube videos. Like even this broadcast, you can take little snippets out and make micro videos for social media, right? You can put out, like, for example, we'll do GIFs on Twitter. Is GIFs old now, or people are still using them?
Oh, I use that all the time, every day.
Yeah, but
every tweet has a GIF in it.
If you're under 24 years old, let me know if you use GIFs or not, right? But we're doing little micro edits of our content for Facebook, right? So I'm all with you. And
that's smart. That's a smart way to do it. Now, let me ask you this though, as someone who's also a business person in social media, have you ever had a deal that didn't involve YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So I just got an email yesterday, and it happens all the time, but it brings me to another point. If I was all in on YouTube and so focused on gaining that next subscriber and next subscriber and next subscriber, there's a lot of diminishing returns in that work versus, you know what? Let me start on Instagram and start building that. Let me start Facebook. Yesterday I got an email. Hey, big brand. We want to pay you to do something. Give us your rate for Facebook and then Instagram and then Facebook stories, and then TikTok. YouTube was not even mentioned in this email. Now, if I was only concerned with YouTube, I wouldn't get that email. And I'll be losing an opportunity to increase my revenue. So it just makes sense that if this is something you want to do for a living, if it's your hobby, totally different. But if you want to do this for a living, you can't just focus on one platform.
Absolutely. And by the way, this is why the channel has always kept the name Video Influencers.
Right.
Because you need to realize that the world is going to change, right? And even this book, we hope that it continues to be relevant for the next few years to a decade, but it might not. Right. So this is why building an influence wherever your people are. What if YouTube just, with this latest, I don't know if this will get flagged or if YouTube's like, I'll take this video down. YouTube just got cracked down by the FTC, $170 million. They can't keep paying that over and over and over, right? But like, say something crazy happened where like the government's like, you have to stop this, and YouTube's like, oh, done. Like Google's like, this is not profitable anymore. This is no longer. Like, I can't foresee that, but what if it does happen? Well, how are you going to reach your people? So beyond social media, like building an email list,
Correct.
building a brand, right? So I think that's the next thing I want to talk about, because one thing, and so by the way, if you're just catching us, we have this great sizzle reel, actually, if you want to check it out on here. We are interviewing Andru Edwards, who's a tech influencer. He's got reviews, first impressions. He talks about news in the industry. He's got a Tesla. He's a big fan. Very successful YouTube channel. In fact, he's got a couple 100,000 subscribers. Let me see here. Almost 60 million views, 1,100 plus videos. I don't know if you knew that.
That was a nice.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't know how many videos I have. But that was a nice little sizzle reel right there.
For sure. We want to honor you and also give respect where respect is deserved, because I know how much you hustle. I know the opportunities you get, and you do it so, I'd say, gracefully, that most people probably would not think like, whoa, he's doing all these crazy things. I know, because I follow you on social media and we talk all the time.
Friends,
yeah, and you're traveling all the time. You're always going to different things. In fact, I believe in, so again, let's switch towards building a brand, right? Yep. And how important that is, because you're huge on that. Again, like, I didn't even think about this when I met you until you told me about like your efforts, and then I realized it. But again, you kind of want to build a brand without it looking like you're trying to build a brand, right?
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the importance of that, because relating it back to multiple platforms. You want to be there because that's where the influence is, but the unifying fact shouldn't be you're a YouTuber or even influencer. It should be like, what is your brand?
Yeah.
And for you, obviously, it's tech, right? You're a tech expert. I don't know how you would say it. On your YouTube channel, you say you cover all the news on new tech. You go to industry events or whatnot.
Right.
Talk about how people need to work on the brand, how to do it, and why it's important.
I think there's a lot of focus, especially if you watch, for lack of a better term, YouTube gurus, YouTube channels that teach you how to be successful, right? A lot of time is spent on optimizing your thumbnail and getting the right title and A/B testing and all this stuff, which is to grow or bubble up in an algorithm, which is good.
Yes.
That gets you views, but it doesn't build you a brand. And I think the more important thing is figuring out how to become something in someone's mind. So for me, for example, I want, if you watch my video or two videos, I want you to get the idea that, oh, this is a guy who knows tech and talks to me like he's just a friend in my living room. So I'm not talking to you like I'm CNET, like I'm not giving you like a news presentation, or, I'm not talking down. It's just easy conversation. Hey, here's something new I want to talk to you about. Here's something I found. Here's something I want to teach you, whatever it might be. That was a conscious decision. I thought about, what do I want people to think when they watch my content? Okay, here's my answer. Now that's what I have to become, right? So I thought about it. I took a moment and said, this is the brand that I want to be associated with. I want to be the friendly guy, like your friendly neighbor or whatever, who's a tech expert that you can go to whenever you have a question. Yeah. That's what I want to be. Yeah. And so that's what I'm going to become. It wasn't by accident. I thought about it. And so I would say, again, law of diminishing returns, you can't just focus on SEO. You don't just want someone to see you as a resource. Like, oh, like you type in a question into the search, you hit enter, there's a result, you click on the result, you get your answer to your question, now I'm gone. I got my answer, I don't ever need to see you again. You don't want to be that. You want people to watch your content and then, oh, this guy's cool, or this guy's interesting, or this guy, I want to see more from this person. Why do they want to see more? So you have to answer that for yourself. And that's how you start building a brand. Who do you want to be to other people? Who
do you want? Oh man, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because the word brand almost has a negative connotation to it, because you think of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, right? Or I don't know why, but I thought of Budweiser. All these, like, it could be Perrier, right? It could be Apple.
You think of a company.
You think of a company, right? What's funny about this whole conversation, and why I'm glad you said that, all these companies want the type of branding that us influencers have, which is who are you? What is your identity?
Right.
So it starts with, like you said, you want to be your neighborhood friendly, relatable tech guy rather than like a tech guru or tech teacher or consultant or even expert. I use that term, but really like when you talk about tech, you're not ever talking down on me. You're like, oh, you don't know that stuff? Oh man, whatever. You know, but the thing is that is going to build your identity, which eventually becomes a brand, but not in the sense of like these big companies. In turn, what it does for you is it makes you stand out in people's minds. And when they need to go to somebody for some information about a new product release or whatever, that identity, which is your brand, is what's going to set you apart and hopefully get you that return audience, right? Yeah. Like that audience retention versus just building a brand. So there's a huge difference. Now, what's happening though, in these big, I mean, you've even mentioned this with some of the companies, they want to work with these influencers because their brand is so almost like it's like you don't want to work with this brand. You'd rather work with a person, right? And so they want that identity. Like even though they'll never actually do it because no one's willing to take that risk of becoming a person, right? I say this all the time, like for Trader Joe's. I think Trader Joe's should actually have an actual Joe. There should be a Trader Joe, like the one dude, right? I think it would blow up. I mean, Trader Joe's, I love Trader Joe's, but if they had a Trader Joe guy, it's kind of like how, is it Geico? I hope I'm not screwing this up. No, Progressive.
The lizard.
The lizard. Yeah, Geico has a lizard. Yeah. Who's the lady in the white?
That's Progressive. Flo.
Flo, right? So I think of Flow, well, I didn't do a great job, but like Flow, Progressive, like you need that. And that's what brands need. It's ironic that of all people, insurance companies do it because they kind of have to, because they're like definitely not a company you even think about when you think about like a good identity, but they have these people. But yeah, I think that building a brand it all starts with you, right? And how you want to connect with other people versus your logo or even your colors or whatever. Now, one thing that's interesting about you is you have another branding thing that I thought was pretty cool is your flashiness, right? I remember when I met you, I was like, oh, this guy just loves gold. But you did it strategically. Maybe you also did it because it's true to your identity, but also you're strategic about the consistency of it. But tell us about that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Yeah.
So, to start, I grew up as an extreme introvert.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to notice me. I didn't want to raise my hand in class, even though I knew the answers. I didn't want to get up and do a book report. I certainly didn't want people to ever look at me as like on stage. But growing up, I had this dream of becoming a pro wrestler. And obviously, if you're going to do that, you have to get over that fear, right? Like you have to do that. What's going on?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. So I had to make a conscious decision that I have to get comfortable with people looking at me. I have to get comfortable with people watching me. I have to get comfortable with being the center of attention. Fast forward to running this business now. When I walk into a room at like CES, if you don't know what CES is, Consumer Electronics Show, it's the biggest tech gadget show conference in the world. Over 175,000 people show up. So you can imagine how crowded it is. So if there's an event happening, a press event, anything like that, thousands of people walk into a room. For me, I'm all about, if you want to be noticed, you have to be different. Okay. So I will dress more flashy. I will dress like, like I'm on Dancing with the Stars or whatever. Like I'll wear like a black and gold shirt, shiny. I'll wear shoes that are like loud and outlandish. But the goal isn't like, that's not how I dress just on my everyday at home. But it's more like, it's like my work outfit. It's like the reason I'm here is to be noticed by brands and be noticed by other companies and to be noticed by everybody who's here. So when I walk into a room, I want people to be like, oh, who's that? Or if they already know me, oh, Andrew's here.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
They see that versus everybody else who's wearing their khakis and their button-down shirt. Like, that's not me.
Or
I'm
dressed like me, like just Henleys with like nonchalant, just regular joggers.
Right.
No, I think you definitely do such a great job of it, because every time I'm at an event, I'm always like, I feel like I see Andrew at every single event. Now, I believe that's the case because you are at a lot of these events and we're friends, but also what you're wearing is so flashy. So if you guys are wondering what I'm referring to, I don't know if it's on his Instagram or not, but literally sometimes you'll show up with gold shoes, right? Or like a gold chain or like some kind of gold shirt or whatever. And it's not in a tacky way. I always think like it's a very balanced, it's very fashionable. Definitely not something I would wear because I would not be able to pull it off the way you do, right? But you do get noticed.
Yes.
And so I think that's the next thing we should talk about, because I know people on here and hit like if you're into this or want to know more about this, because one of the ways you work with more brands outside of the obvious, which is get views, have quality content, have an influence, is get noticed by brands. And so you are a master of this. Starts with how you dress and how you present yourself, right? But you hustle. I mean, like after events, you're following up with these brands or agencies. Let's talk about that, because I'd say for everybody watching this, the thing that I'm most impressed with when it comes to Andru Edwards is his ability to work with brands and get some of the best deals I know of, literally of everybody that I am friends with in the influencer space. So let's talk about that, because of course I think that a lot of people, they start YouTube, they want to get views, they want to make some AdSense, right? I think more and more people are realizing that's not as realistic, especially when you're first starting out or if you don't get enough views.
Right.
And secondly, that you can do all these other things, but I found working with brands, there's just so much opportunity there. My wife and I, we've been doing this for 10 years. Literally, a majority of our income is with brands. And this is still with doing launches of our own products, working with manufacturers to do like a special line for my wife, like at Target. But still, at the end of the day, it's all been these brand deals because there's just so much money in this space. What would you say has been like the best practices that have helped you have success, and do you have any examples?
Yeah, I think there's several. The first one I would say is kind of goes back to the discussion we had a little earlier about the YouTuber thing. If you watch, like if you're trying to get started and you're watching all the YouTube guru channels that are teaching you, how many other people are watching those channels? Some of these channels get a lot of views, right? You guys get a lot of views. Well, if 100,000 people are taking the same advice, then I'm just one of 100,000, right? Doesn't mean it's bad advice, but I would say take the advice and then put your own spin. Because if everybody's zigzagging the same way and then you do the opposite, everyone's going to know, who's that guy? What's he doing? What's she doing, right? She's not doing the same thing as everyone else. You want to get noticed. You don't want to be the same as everyone else. So always try to put your own spin on things, and don't just take advice at face value and then, okay, they said do this with the thumbnail, I'm going to do this with the thumbnail. I'm going to do this with the title. No, just change it up a little bit so you can stand out. That's number one. That's the easiest way to get noticed and stand out. If you're in 100,000 people wearing a white sweater and you're wearing a black sweater, you're going to get noticed, right? Doesn't matter. From there, it also goes to what we just talked about, which is brand building for yourself. One reason brands like to work with me is because they feel comfortable with me. I'm not like, even with like the flashy shirts, at the end of the day, my personality is not like a flashy personality. I try to be very matter of fact, very down to earth. I know what I'm talking about with my niche. You may call me a tech expert, but I don't try to come across as an expert. I just try to come across like I know what I'm talking about. So brands feel safe. I'm a brand safe person. And that's also by design. It's something I thought about. What makes a major corporation who have so many lawyers and every major corporation is scared. They're all scared. They don't want a scandal. They don't want to work with you. And then, next month you're doing something crazy on YouTube that goes against their brand. Even if your brand deal's done, now they've associated themselves with you, right? So be brand safe. Think about that. And finally, my thing is I don't see brands as brands.
Yeah.
I see a brand as a person. And what I mean by that is I'm a person, right? Someone gives me their business card at Apple. Apple's like the holy grail for a lot of tech people. Like, I want to get in with Apple. Well, you don't want to get in with Apple. You want to get in with like Rob at Apple, right? Getting in with Rob is a lot easier and a lot easier on your mind than I need to get in with Apple, this mega corporation. And so, you know, one thing I do, for example, every holiday season is I send holiday cards to all the people at brands that I've worked with the past year. Just say, hey, thanks for working with me this year. Looking forward to 2020, whatever it might be. Maybe I'll throw a little like gift card in there or something to order some Starbucks or whatever. Send that off. Do that with like 20 to 30 people. Next time they have a campaign that's going to come up, I'm going to be on their mind because, oh, Andrew, that nice guy that sent us something and he was really good when we worked with him. And like, I don't just see brand deals as a one-time thing. I see it as we're starting a relationship. And in any relationship, right, it's a two-way street, as they say. I also, a lot of the people I work with, they're in my phone, in my contacts. And every now and then, you know, I'll follow them on LinkedIn. I'll follow them on Twitter, whatever. Let's say one of them was like, oh, super proud of so-and-so, my son, my daughter graduating, whatever. Sometime that week, hey, I saw your son graduated. Hey, congrats. Yeah. Send. Not congrats. By the way, any deals come, like just become friends. You know what I mean?
Relationships.
That's
I mean, it's so simple. It's stupid because most people overcomplicate things, right? They think the brand deal is going to come as like this nice package that's going to have like the rate at the top and like the deliverables and like we're happy. Oh, contract's going to be attached to it, which you and I both know never happens, right? But I love that you said, don't look at it as a brand, look at it as a person, many different people, right? And sometimes not always at the actual brand itself. Sometimes it's an agency representing it or a PR company. And this is probably one of the number one things people can do to literally have success with brand sponsorships is care about the people that they meet. Okay, you never know who that person is, what they do for the company, or who they know, or where they'll be one day.
That's right.
I'll tell you, some of the best deals I've ever gotten were just someone else that worked at another company that gave me their card. I followed up, I replied back, and then afterwards, because of that relationship, I'll see them at like some industry event or here, whatever, and I've just continued that relationship and doing small things like that, right? I don't necessarily do the send cards thing, but I care enough about what's going on in their life that like when I talk to them, I was like, oh yeah, didn't you go to Mexico or something like that? And they love that, right? Especially if you're an influencer, they're like, oh, they probably don't care about anybody. So even more so because you stand apart again, right? And it's interesting in my role in my wife's business, that's who I am. I'm really the business guy that goes and networks. In fact, in the last few years, Judy has gone to less events. You've seen me at a lot of events by myself. We used to go together, but now I'm just there to shake hands, meet people, get meetings, and then more importantly, follow up with them afterwards, right? Not always in a selfish way, no motive. Literally just be like, hey, it was great meeting you. I saved you in my contacts. Hit me up if there's anything you ever need. I don't even say like if you have a deal or whatever, right? And that's, I think, the bonus tip. If there's something that they need or like they say something on social media, try to serve them. Like try to help them. You can do this even with very minimal followers or not really a huge influence. If you've got some kind of skill or authority or you know enough, you might be able to actually help them out, right? It's just like how we say you can collaborate with people even if you don't have a lot of subscribers if you bring something to the table. And it's interesting because everything you just said might not sound like the crazy like guru, like this is how to get brand deals in less than 30 days kind of thing, because this is kind of a long-term strategy, but is the way that I'd say 80% of our deals happen. And I think the other thing too is what you spoke to is the brand, right? Like they know that Judy and I are a family-friendly brand. We stand for wholesome content that anybody can watch generally, and once in a while we'll do like adults only, but even that is still like not like controversial or whatever. It's not even polarizing. And so brands know that they feel comfortable. And that's because that is our brand. It's not for everybody, right? Like if you're going to be a political show host,
right,
you might have to be polarizing, a little risky with that content, but maybe you're only going to work with certain brands. So ultimately, it's understanding who the audience is you want to work with, who you are, and if it makes sense, be as brand friendly as possible because the opportunities are crazy. Because brands need, I'll tell you, that's probably the next book I'm writing is about how brands need influencers,
okay,
right? And it's not just the obvious. It's not the ones with 1 million subscribers. It's literally everybody from a few thousand subscribers to like the mega celebrity type of influencers. And as long as you have that influence, you're creating content and you are authentic and giving some kind of value, the brands are going to need you. Because again, brands are looked at kind of as like this profit hungry machine versus being a person. Now, you and I, we look at the people that work there as actual humans, you know? So that's awesome. Any other things that you can think of? In fact, you know, this is
Plenty.
Yeah. I actually wanted to show something that I think this would be great. Let us know if you're watching this and you're just starting a channel. If you actually go to the YouTube video, you can see the chat box if there's anything you want to answer. And let us know. Shout out to Michael of our members club. We got a video influencers members area. You can join at the link down below. But I've got a fun sizzle reel, so you'll want to put on your headphones here.
Okay, let me put my headphones on.
One thing we like to do when we get guests here that's been on, and you've been on for a long time. Excuse me. Hold on a second. Hey, watch out. I'm going to lower this table just a tiny little bit. Someone raise it up. One of the things I like to do when I have guests that have been on YouTube for a while is show one of their old videos. So we have one that we kind of clipped up.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to your reaction. In fact, here, I'm going to turn my computer. So do you want to watch on there or on here? I think... Oh, no, this is kind of a delay. So you just have to say it. So let's roll one of the early clips of Andru Edwards on his YouTube channel.
Hey guys, welcome to Unboxing Live. I'm Andru Edwards, and this is the show that brings you vicarious thrills through opening new gear. Today we have a Wicked Laser Spider 2. Most laser pointers you see are normally the size of a pen, and this is closer to the size of a flashlight. This retails for $2,000. It features Tesla cooling technology, which I'm not sure what that means, but this is not fully charged, so it's not burning through my skin. This thing is actually really cool. We'll shine it up into the night sky and actually point at specific stars. And that's it. That's it for this edition of Unboxing Live. Tune in next time. I'm Andru Edwards. We'll bring you more vicarious thrills through opening new gear very soon. Okay.
Speaking of old, you look so young.
How old is that?
That's I think like 7 years old. And so the reason I love sharing videos,
it's more than that. That was like 12 years old.
Oh, crazy. But the reason I love sharing those videos, it's funny. I didn't even think about it. I've never seen you without a beard, right? But the reason I love showing that to people is so people can relate back to the creators, the influencers that are on this show, and that we all had to start somewhere. Now, I wouldn't say that was a bad video. Like, you still had great presentation. I mean, like, if you watch the rest of the video, you're detailed about that laser pointer. But that's what I was talking about. I'm not kidding. I think that was 140p, right?
That was, I don't even know. That's crazy.
It was so low quality. I was like, how did this even manage to survive on YouTube this long? Like, even Judy's worst videos, pixelation wise, never went to
as bad as that.
I mean, like that low quality. But, you know, a lot of people are just starting out on YouTube.
Yep.
And if you put yourself back to those days, and I love that you shared that story about you being an introvert and how you were super shy. What does it make you think about now that it's like a decade later and what you've learned and how you would start YouTube if you were just starting out?
Yeah, it was actually one thing I noticed in that clip was I wasn't really looking at the camera.
Oh, yeah.
And that was probably due to, you know, I had to grow and become comfortable. And now I can get laser focus on the camera without ever, you know, my eyes coming off of it. That shows in the beginning that I was still like, I had an idea, I had the knowledge, but I didn't have like the total confidence.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to start with the confidence. Everything will build over time. I think it's really just about, and again, what is your end goal? Like for me, the end goal was I was adding video into my business. So ultimately, this was to be a money-making thing. Yeah. Now, if you're just trying to do it as a hobby, you don't really care much about making money, totally different. You have more wiggle room, I'd say. But if you want to make money, you have to be a little more focused on your approach. And so the best way to get comfortable doing something is to do it, right? Yeah. Do it over and over. One thing I told somebody one time was, if you're so worried about not looking like you know what you're doing, shoot videos for a month and never publish them. But at the very least, you're getting used to the process, setting up the camera, talking to the camera, editing the video. And even if no one ever sees it, you're still growing as a personality, you're growing your style, you're figuring it out. Just you have to start though. You're never gonna just start day one and just be there. That's not gonna happen. What we were talking about a minute ago about working with brands and getting to that point, one other thing I wanted to mention too that's a basic, and this goes for anybody, whether you're in video or not, look professional. Yeah. I don't mean how you dress, but like, don't use a Gmail or Yahoo account. Yeah. Like, spend the $6 and get a domain name and have a professional email address. Don't do your brand making on Twitter publicly. Now in the DMs, things go down in DMs, that's cool. But I see so many people, especially in tech, who, you know, at Microsoft, hey, I didn't get an invite to your event. What's up? ? I have 200,000. Like, no one cares about your subscriber count or like, why are you doing this publicly? It's not a good look. Yeah. And if you think it's going to get you an invite, maybe it will, but it's not going to be a good look long term. You need to be professional. Professionals don't do their deal making out in the public. Yeah. That's why there are things called NDAs. And a lot of times when a brand reaches out to you through email, they'll send you an NDA, which means you're not even supposed to talk about the fact that this deal is happening until it's ready to be public. So you're putting a brand in a position to know publicly that there might be a deal happening with you. They don't want to, you're putting them in a bad position. Yeah. So be professional, be discreet, have a professional look about you. And these are all tips that, again, go for anybody. It's not about video per se, just in general. You want to come across like someone who understands business.
Can I add something there?
Please do.
Because I didn't think you were going to go this direction, but it is something that I also understand about working with brands and being professional. My advice is never talk down on a brand unless it's doing an honest review, but never rant about a brand deal that went sour or whatever. No, that is just never a good look. And even if you feel justified because this is your platform and they did me wrong, every other brand that sees that is going to think, oh, dang, we don't want to take on that risk. Right. Because the number one thing that brands do outside of whatever it is avoid risk. This is why they have lawyers. This is why their legal teams are so hardcore.
They're scared.
And, yeah, for sure.
Brands are scared.
They don't want, and so already, and going back to the whole word YouTuber, right? I mean, like, unfortunately, people like Logan Paul didn't make that word even better. And, you know, because they're trying to avoid those kind of things happening. So never rant about something negative or attack them publicly like that. Now, a review is different, right?
For sure.
But even in the review, you can still be respectful to the company. You can really focus on the product and be like, hey, these are some suggestions. But you don't have to say, hey, Apple is the worst company ever because of this thing that they're doing over here. No, like, you should talk about the actual device or whatever. Not that I think Apple is a great company and they make great products. But yeah, that's just a little bonus tip for people because I see that all the time. And I've always been kind of the PR person for Judy. She's never even needed this. But if Judy ever's like, I'm going to show them, you know, because we've had some deals go sour, go bad. Really, like, literally, like, they weren't being professional. And, you know, part of being professional is you can uphold that standard even when other people aren't. Anything else you want to add? Like, for, obviously, we're talking about beginners and your advice for people if you were starting over.
The other thing that I would say when working with companies, kind of jumping off of, I'm trying to remember, you just said something. No, I don't remember. You just said something that was good, and I was like, I need to.
Oh yeah, like
need to jump
risk,
on that.
The risk. They're avoiding risk. Their legal teams.
Oh yeah, the product. So
Yes.
when you're reviewing a product,
Yeah.
right? Don't go for the short-term shock, which I see a lot of people do because they want to get the view. Or if I be shocking, I'll get an influx. For example, again going back to the tech space, Apple doesn't suck and Android doesn't suck.
Yeah.
These are the two biggest platforms in the world. It's impossible that one of the two suck.
Yeah.
Yet people will take a position. One of the Apple is terrible or Android is. They're not terrible. If you think about it, they're not. But you want the shock value to gain haters, to build a toxic audience.
Yeah.
That is then when brands look at your audience, it's not going to be brand safe.
Yeah.
So one thing I do in my comments, I don't allow any sort of controversy. Like, I don't even know what I'm allowed to say on this show. I'm not going to swear. But like, for example, someone put, oh man, the way that this product works is killing me.
Yeah.
Killing me, that's not going on my, the word killing, that's not going on my page. See what I'm saying? Like, you have to be very aware. Someone said, oh, this is damn good. Damn, that's not going on my page. Like, anything that might have a hint of controversy, that a brand might go to my page and scroll and see that word, that's not going to appear on anywhere on my page. So, again, it's about thinking about being brand safe. And the other thing is, think about your audience, not you. Something may suck to me. You can give me these headphones right here, and I may say, you know what? These are too bulky. I don't like these. That doesn't mean this isn't the right product for somebody.
Yeah.
I always try to think, okay, if I don't like this, that means they didn't make it for me. Who did they make it for? Okay, now I'm going to talk to that person. If you are the kind of person who X, Y, and Z, then this is the product for you. Not, oh, I don't like this, so don't buy this because I don't like it. I'm not serving anybody,
Yeah, and MKBHD.
Yes.
Marquise, right?
Marquez.
Okay, so Marquez. I only bring him up because he's in the tech space. He's done a great job of this as well because he does work with a lot of brands that he doesn't agree with their products. Or one example is the Apple AirPods. So they don't fit in his ear or like they fall out. So I like how he's like, for me, it doesn't work because my ear shape or whatever. However, objectively, this is what I think about them, right? I think that is really powerful, especially if you want to do reviews, because once in a while, some products aren't going to vibe with you, and there's strategies on still sharing and doing a review in a positive way, right? And still being honest. But on that note about the toxic audience and gaining haters. So recognize too, since some people get excited when they get all these views because they're doing some kind of controversy or they're ranting or they're going kind of the negative route, and they get all these people like, oh yeah, I also think like that. Because haters and trolls and negative people, they're just so quick to jump on that bandwagon with you and be a support role. They almost feel like, yeah, welcome to the club. That we think that as quick as they became supporters of you, they will become haters of you. Like,
I've seen it so many times.
It is the craziest thing that people just completely do not understand is if they're hating on somebody else that you're hating on, right? Whether it's a brand or another influencer. They can quickly do it to you.
Absolutely.
Because they're thinking around this, and this is a definitely note for everyone watching. Their thinking is they're so quick to be turned, right? Like they don't know anything about you. They don't have any context about you, but you said just the right thing, and then they're your friend. That quick that they came, they'll go.
They're gone.
Right? Or worse, they'll do some damage, dislike the video, leave those hateful comments, right? Like spread some bad stuff and then go find the next person. That's just the nature of negative people. Like I've learned this over not just YouTube, but the course of life, right? It's interesting because one thing I've never experienced, I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, right? And after 1 billion video views on our vlog content alone, we've got a lot of hate or negativity.
Okay.
And we definitely don't filter to that extent, but any abuse or straight up hate or anything, like it's completely not appropriate for the channel, we definitely will delete that stuff. But we definitely let people have their judgments or whatever. We're like more open community because we have such a positive. The reason I bring all this up though, after a billion video views and getting all these haters, trolls, and negative comments, I've never once, and maybe I will after this comment, I've never once had someone come up to my face and tell me those things. Ever.
Right. Yeah, me either.
Yeah. And so just realize it's so easy for people to hide behind a screen.
Yep.
And of course, there's some like obvious reasons. I mean, some of them are just young and dumb, or they're literally going through a bad place in their life. Some people literally just, they react to something and then they don't think anything of it. Like, and you let it ruin your day. So it's just interesting that you do that. I think it's smart when you want to build a business that you know is going to work with brands and they're trying to avert risk, right? They don't want anything to do with it. Because that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's not just the views, right? Most companies, and in fact, even the ones that are open and inviting to controversy. So, there's definitely some brands they work with that crowd. They still try to avert risk because they don't want to be liable for things.
Sure.
Because a lawsuit is universal. It doesn't matter, right? It's all about who has the money. So these are things that you want to consider when you're working with a brand that a lot of people just don't know in the beginning, right? But it'll make a big deal if you're like this, not just from the start, but especially as you get more and more influence. Anything else you want to add before I move on to some other questions?
Yeah. The other thing is, again, going back to building yourself as an influencer, is we mentioned earlier kind of not just being on YouTube, but kind of trying to be everywhere. One place that I think a lot of people don't even think about for some reason is podcasting. You even told me before we started, it just occurred to you randomly, like, wait a minute, all these interviews we do, these could have been podcasts. Like, what have we been doing this whole time? I want to be an option for you no matter where you are. So if you're going to watch a video, that means I need your attention. I need your eyes and your ears. Sometimes when you're commuting, you're driving to work, you have a 30-minute commute. What are your options there? You can't watch a video. But I still want to be an option for you. So podcasting is an easy answer to that. I do a weekly podcast. I have a co-host. We talk about the latest news of that week. Sometimes we kind of go more in depth on stuff that we did on YouTube, because YouTube we might do 5 to 12 minutes. And on a podcast, we can go, as long as we'd like to about a topic. It's another way to not only build your influence, not only build, mind share inside of people's head, but it's also another way to generate revenue. A lot of people, when I started the podcast, were like, why are you doing a podcast? Like, you could be spending that time making, a couple more videos per week. It goes back to the law of diminishing returns. I'm not about, I just need to build YouTube and make, every single last video and get, 10 more subscribers or whatever it might be. I was able to create a podcast, and then very quickly that podcast became its own 6-figure revenue generator. So now I've created another asset that's added 6 figures to my annual income.
Crazy.
The same amount of time that I do podcasts, I could not spend that on YouTube and create 6 figures.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't, it's not possible. It's the diminishing returns. So just think about what can you offer to the people you want to reach, no matter where they are. If they're in an airplane, if they're driving, if they're in a cab, if they're at home, relaxing, whatever it might be, what is something you can offer them there, and then try to make it happen.
For sure. And, by the way, this is the official first episode of the Video Influencers Show, where we interview
I'm guest number
people
1.
crushing it on YouTube and social media, specifically with online video. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, create some kind of content. And what's awesome is you can most people think, oh, you need this Shure mic and you need this lighting. No, like with a podcast, you can do it from your phone if you had to. In fact, some New York best-selling authors use their iPhone to record the audiobook version.
Really?
Right? They're just so basic and old school.
Yeah.
They're just doing that. And it still sells tons of copies. I've heard stories of that. So you absolutely don't need it, because at the end of the day, it's all about. Now, one thing is interesting, this is a little side tip. When we tape these episodes and we eventually want to put them up as podcasts, we do think, to the extent, even this show itself, we're like, okay, how will this audio sound in the car while someone's driving?
Okay.
So I've actually had our team in multiple scenarios listen to these, right? Listen to it in your car through the car speakers. Listen to it through earphones while you're driving the car.
Okay.
Listen to it on your phone speaker as you're driving, like all the different scenarios.
That's smart.
It's so important to think about, because you never know, and you want to be aware of how people, and this is why at the end of the day, you definitely want to have great audio.
Absolutely.
I think great audio is important, but more importantly is that you just got to do it, right?
Yeah.
You just got to do it, which is a great advice even for us. But this is the power of video, because you can do both, right? So the hope is you can put on a camera, use that microphone or a lapel mic, get the video, post it on YouTube, make micro clips, post that on social media, and take the audio. The one other additional tip, and we've thought about this because we do a lot of visuals. We'll like show your channel, or we'll, like you were talking about 8K videos. You didn't know this, but the team, they actually showed 8K videos. Right now, like my book is showing up on the screen, right? Yeah, like so YouTube Secrets, you guys go pick it up on Amazon, Audible, it's all there. But when you're talking about 8K videos, we showed it. So when you're doing audio only podcasts, you have to remember, you can't rely on the visual. You have to verbally talk about what you're doing, which is so different. But we're going to take a quick break. When I say quick, it's like 20 seconds just for you to take a drink. If you have to go to the bathroom, I can take over. We just want to thank our sponsor, vidIQ. Thank you so much, vidIQ, for sponsoring the Video Influencers Show. Let's play this little clip to show some love to them.
This video is brought to you by vidIQ, the #1 Chrome extension for YouTubers looking for on-point data analysis, research resources, and enhanced video creator tools. Start getting more views in less time today by signing up for free at vidiq.com/influence. That's vidiq.com/influence.
All right. So we're here talking to Andru Edwards about everything tech, tech on YouTube, tech on social media, how he grew his YouTube channel. And there's just so many stories. This is why I'm so glad you're here. But let's actually switch directions to the tech world.
Okay.
I think the one thing the tech world has to offer that a lot of people can relate to, it's so competitive, right?
Right.
And even Sean was saying, man, there's so many people show up at CES that, it's not like it was even for him just, not too many years ago, because he used to put out content like right away, like the day afterwards or even that day. And it blew like, especially brands' minds. But now people are doing that so regularly. So what's your advice to people, and how have you been able to stand out? I don't know if you're going to be sharing trade secrets that potentially other people will copy, but eventually people will, like people are going to notice, and they're just going to duplicate what you're doing. What's your advice for people, not only getting into the tech space specifically, but maybe general advice for people going into competitive niche like comedy or beauty?
I think at the end of the day, it's about carving out a spot, kind of like I said earlier, in people's minds about who you are. So tech is very competitive, like you said, right? There's so many channels in this. There's so many successful channels, and you might be looking at it like, how am I even going to break through this? And I would say my first piece of advice is it's never too late. There's nobody, well, there might be, but generally today, there are still new TV shows that come out. No one's like, you know what, TV's, 100 years old. There's no way I'm going to break it. People make TV shows. Yeah. People make movies. Like, people make new songs. People are always looking for the next thing. People are always looking for new content, fresh takes on stuff. So knowing that, having that knowledge, there's no other piece of media out there where it's too late to jump in, and it's way older than what YouTube is. It's not too late. So that's number one. Number two, I don't think, I'm not scared to share anything, because it's all about implementation. It's not about the idea. I can give you my whole playbook, and I have given people. Okay, you want to do this? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the 10 steps you need to do to get started. And either they don't listen, or they do it, but they do it their way. And that's the most important. Do it your way. Don't copy me. Copying me or MKBHD or anybody else who you might see out there is not the way to win. The way to win is observe and then put your own spin on it. Make yourself different, not the same. Make yourself different. Make yourself unique. I think the easiest way, though, like the one tip I would give is to start with a niche. And we always talk about this. Start with a niche. So instead of tech, start with headphones, or start with smartphones, or start with budget phones.
Yeah.
Start there, then build up. You can always build up later, but just start in a place where you can have a little bit of authority, where it's not as crowded because you're more laser focused on something, and then expand.
You're giving yourself more of a chance,
Yes.
right? Even if you don't make it big in headphones, you're at least focused on just that niche, so you can learn all the tricks of the trade, what works, where are the like open opportunities, and you can always switch later.
Yes.
Your channel being like a more broader niche, being tech, right? Or maybe tech for musicians. Of course, headphones is part of that.
Right.
And I do agree. In fact, there's somebody that was on the show recently. Her name is Jade, and she says she hates niches, right? Because then you like put yourself into a little spot.
Right.
And in a certain way, I also agree. But there's nothing saying you have to be dedicated to it. The way I've been explaining it to people is have a overarching niche of whatever your channel is. It could actually even be considered a sub niche, right? Organic gardening, right? Would be an example of a kind of a sub niche. But within that, there's all these other sub niches, like small little things, and you can just focus on them, right? Like just for like a month or two, especially when you're starting out, you have nothing to lose. Right?
Of course.
You have nothing to lose because most other people just wouldn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
Secondly, this is the practice that you have to go through to figure out how to make it big. And you just never know. You just never know until you actually do it. It's so rare. I think there's only been one channel that's actually made it big from the very beginning, first upload, and it's this girl that's in a van. Have you heard?
Is it Janelle?
I
Is her
think
name
so.
Janelle? Yeah,
I don't know.
what you're
I
talking
actually never seen the channel. I just heard stories that like from the very beginning. I don't know if we can pull
Video
up
one was
bam. What's the name of the channel?
I don't remember her full name, but it was like video 1, video 2, and she had like 2 million subscribers.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
Instantly.
Let's look for that channel. But literally every other person I've ever met and known about all had these seasons, right? Or even your season. I think even more importantly than the season on YouTube or whatever platform where you're uploading and not getting a lot of impressions and you build up to where you're at is the season before you even hit YouTube. So I think that's the last thing I would love for you to share is how you were already having momentum before you actually started uploading to YouTube.
Yes.
And you were doing a blog, and talk about the importance of that hustle before you even get to upload your first video.
Okay, so yeah, I started blogging in 2004.
Yeah.
So we're in 2020 now, so this is crazy.
Yeah.
16 years later. But I started every day after work. I go to work, come home, spend an hour or so just typing up my thoughts on the tech news of the day or this new device I bought or whatever. I was in my early 20s, very stupid. I would do things like, you know what? If I don't pay my cell phone bill this month, they're not going to cut it off until I'm 2 months late. And that means I can spend this money on this new video game or whatever it might be because I wanted to get stuff to write about. Silly. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. But, 9 months later, with an hour or so per day, I was probably making about $500 to $800 a month. Not a lot of money, but it was an hour.
Yeah.
So it just occurred to me like, wait a minute, if I did 8 hours instead of 1 hour, and you multiply this, I'd be making more money than I make at my actual job. Like, this is crazy. So I'm going to go for it. So I quit my job, start blogging full time. I'm relying on AdSense. And now this is a good correlation to YouTube. Okay. Because with the blog, I was relying only on AdSense to make my revenue. And after I quit, the next week, just coincidentally, a brand directly reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like to pay you $3,000 to run this banner ad on your website for 1 month. And that's where the light bulb went off. It's like, wait a minute. I don't have to rely on Google. I can do this by myself. We can have a direct relationship. So I tell people these days, AdSense should not be more than 20% of your income, like at most.
Yeah, it's like 5%
yeah,
for us.
like if you don't want to rely on it, it can go away. You want your business to run such that AdSense, to me at least, it's like a little bonus. Oh, that's nice. I have this. Like, I don't even know how much I make in ad. I don't care. It's just a bonus. It's not something I'm going to rely on. Get yourself to that point. So with the blog, I was able to do that. And then very quickly, within about 2 years, all the competitive blogs that were also doing tech news were getting purchased by major corporations like AOL and Condé Nast, Gawker. And all of a sudden, the staffs of these other competing blogs, I mean, we're all friends, but it's competing for your time at the very least, would go from a staff of 1 or 2 to a staff of 10 to 15. And I'm still just me. And I got offers to sell Gear Live. And I was like, I'm not done. Like, I have stuff I want to do here. And so it became very obvious to me that I had to add something new and different. Otherwise, I was going to quickly fade into irrelevancy because there's no way I can write as much as 15 people do in a day. CES 2006 was where this happened. I decided I'm going to go to CES, and this year I'm only going to do videos. I'm not going to write anything. And everybody else was still writing. So I went to CES and I did maybe 15 or 20 videos. And it worked really well. Now, obviously, you saw that clip from earlier.
Yeah.
I wasn't the best on video, but I was doing it. I jumped in.
Like so many early YouTubers.
Right.
They weren't the best. They were just doing it.
Just
Phil
do it.
DeFranco, go to his old videos if you don't know.
Right.
That's a old school YouTuber now still doing YouTube videos, reporting news. Back then, he was just ranting. He wasn't even doing proper news. And so, yeah, like everybody kind of had that start. I should have done the good thing and shared my early videos. But yes, continue.
Yes. So the next year, 2007, CES 2007, I went in with a goal. I said, okay, last year I started doing video. No one else was doing it. You go to all the top tech sites, they weren't even doing it. 2007, I said, I'm going to do more video than anybody at CES. I don't care who it is. I don't care how big they are. I went into CES and came away, and I did over 100 videos in 4 days.
Dang.
I brought myself, I brought someone to shoot for me, and I brought 2 editors. And what we would do is we would shoot when it was on tape too. So once the tape was full, they would take the tape, they deliver it to the editor, they give us a new tape, pop the new tape
mini
in.
DV?
Keep going. Yeah, mini DV. Take that, bring it so we had like a war room and we were just editing and publishing. And CES recognized us as having, like, you look at CNET and all these, we had the most video content, the most coverage. And that, again, it was a plan. I went in with a plan. Like, this is what I want to do this year. I want to be seen as the outlet with the most video coverage. And that was it. I didn't just go in like, oh, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Make a plan. That's the easiest way to find success. And so fast forward, the blog starts taking a back seat because the video was supposed to just be a supplement to the blog.
Yeah.
And nowadays, the blog is like third place to the videos and the podcast. And the blog supports those rather than the other way around just because of, the world that we're in now. But it shows that having a plan and having just a strategy, here's what I want to do, whether it's this week or this month or this goal. Have a goal and figure out how you can meet the goal. Don't just go in with, I'm going to start a channel and I'm going to make videos and that's it. How can you be different? How can you stand out? That's what it was. I want to stand out at CES. How? The biggest show in the world. How can I be the one to stand out? Just me. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. And I did.
That's awesome, dude. That's so epic. Crazy. Like, I didn't know any of that. I feel like there's so much. We'll have to have you on again because we didn't even get into the wrestling history there and your passion and love for that, which is awesome because I was a huge fan of The Rock back in the day.
Yes.
Actually everybody, like I was
Who
definitely
isn't? Even today, who's not a fan of The Rock?
Oh, I know for sure. And that's another thing too. You never know where you're going to end up. Who would have ever thought The Rock would be who he is now.
Right.
That Dwayne Johnson actor that's literally like one of the highest paid people, but it speaks to your charisma and chemistry, and how if you can have that on camera, right, even as a shy person, how it can equate to like major success.
Yes.
And this is why even as an introvert, in fact, a lot of YouTubers are introverts, right, or shy, ultimately are having so much opportunities because video is so powerful, right? It does so much more than a blog could ever do. And blogs, it always blows my mind that blogs are even still relevant. Obviously, people like to read, but it's nothing compared to a full-on video review.
Absolutely.
But with all the visual and everything. I got a couple quick questions. And by the way, we're sharing all of Andrew's links down below. We don't have your podcast in there, but if you share it with us, we'll definitely put that in there. But all his socials down there. I've just got two.
Before you ask a question, can I jump off of something you just said?
Go.
Okay. A lot of YouTubers, content creators, whatever you mentioned, are shy, right? This is true. What we do is we set a camera up in a room where we're by ourselves. We talk to this camera by ourselves. We edit by ourselves. We publish. And then we go to something like VidCon and people recognize us and it's weird, right? Setting yourself up for business again, to make money, to work with brands, you have to get comfortable with crews, okay? Like you were telling me earlier, I was telling you, we've done brand deals where they hire a professional crew and there's like 20 people around us and we have to do our thing in front of them. I've been told by several brands that I wasn't even, in some of the cases, I wasn't even their first choice. They brought in their first choice and that person froze because there was a whole crew. So one thing you should do is get people, not every time, but just get used to people being around you when you're making your content. Because when you have a big money deal, these companies are going to hire a crew. And you don't want to get there and then they say action and then you're all shy and you don't know what to do because you've never done this in front of other people before. Just another. Oh,
it's a great point. And you know what's amazing? How many brands or even the production companies or studios don't ask that question. Are you like to the influencers?
Right.
Are you comfortable in front of a big group of people? Because when you go from filming a video by yourself in your own room in the comfort of your home,
that's right,
to going to a studio where there's bright lights, like way brighter than anything you use. Maybe you use natural light at home, and now you've got all these like basically like spotlights on you. People holding clipboards, taking notes.
And eyes. You have so many eyes on you.
Oh, right? Yeah. You know, my favorite is the camera guy that really doesn't even care. He's just like,
right.
And so when you got all that and you're not just thinking about the viewer on the other side. Now you're thinking about, why does this guy look so bored? Am I like bad on camera?
That's right.
Or why does this person look like they're in a bad mood? Or maybe like they don't like how I'm doing this. They're not even thinking about any of that, right?
You're psyching yourself out.
For sure. It's such a good point. And if you want to work with brands, so this is the thing. If you want to work with brands at home, my wife, she actually goes the opposite. She's not comfortable around big crews, and we've done less of those things. So we've really focused on brands letting her work at home the way she wants to, right? And it's worked. But I agree with you. What's interesting is they get a deal with the influencer, because normally they just have to pay an actor or actress that's comfortable doing it, but there's no context there. Like they don't actually have any passion for tech, right? They have
no influence at all.
No influence or whatever.
No
so you as an influencer, how powerful it is that not only do you have your influence, but you can do those things. Now, it's a balance. You want to protect your value, but also know you're the sweet deal for them compared to if they had to do a full production. But if you do it and it's happening, right, at scale, like tons of people understand this, especially people from that world. What's happening, a lot of people from that world, whether it's an actor, actress, or even just somebody part of the crew, they're like, I could do this too because I know how it works.
Right.
Like I know how it's all run. I know how to create high quality content. But if you understand that leverage you have as an influencer, the amount of money you can make right now is ridiculous. I never thought in a million years that I'd be able to create videos on a platform on the internet, right? And lead me to the kind of opportunities I have.
Yeah.
And I still live in the same town north of Seattle that I've been in for almost 30 years. And it's because of YouTube and the power of online videos.
You're still Benji from the block, man. You haven't changed.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But I have 2 fun questions, and we're going to wrap this up. You guys, give this a like if you're getting value out of it. If you have any questions, this is your last chance. Thank you, Movie Flicks, for the super chat. And they asked for feedback. I'll have to go look at it afterwards. I would love to do that. But my last 2 questions for you are fun. One, kind of negative, but not really. What have been the biggest tech fails in the last like 5 to 10 years that you can remember off the top of your head?
Tech fails.
Tech fails.
Man, geez, just last year, the Samsung Galaxy Fold.
Oh.
Which was, I mean, their big product, right?
Yes.
Here's it's a new paradigm shift in mobile. Folding display, beautiful product. We send it out to the reviewers so they can, get first crack at it. And pretty much every single reviewer within a day or 2 breaks the thing.
Oh, that's crazy.
And they have to delay the launch and re-engineer the product and then re-release it. And when they re-release it, they release instructions that are like, if you're going to tap it, just tap it lightly with your fingertip. And it's like you have to baby this product. Now that obviously this product's going to lead us into the future. We are going to see folding displays and all that. But sometimes when you need to beta test stuff. You don't show it to the public. Don't let it see the light of day. The other one I would say would probably be something like the Zune. Remember back in the day?
Oh, the Zune.
There was the iPod.
Oh my gosh.
Microsoft
now
was
you're
obsessed.
Really dating.
Yes. Microsoft was obsessed with beating the iPod. They released this thing called the Zune.
Yeah.
Now, there was nothing wrong with the Zune. It was great. The only problem is what everybody focused on was they released this weird brown color. It was like brown and green. And everybody was like, who wants brown gadgets? This is terrible. And so they didn't even pay attention or give it a chance because they were like, why is it brown? So those are the 2 that stick out like right off the top of my head.
The one that sticks out for me is Google Glass, right?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, like Google Glass, they swore that was going to be the future. And even with people having all these, I guess, challenges or arguments against it, like who's going to want to let this person in their public space or in their home? I mean, that thing is recording or at least could potentially be on.
There was a lot of controversy about that in a Seattle restaurant in particular, actually. There was one that wouldn't allow people to come in wearing Google Glass. And so the people who bought the Google Glass were like, this is unfair. I'm not recording anything. This thing doesn't even allow me to record. I can't live stream from this. But it was like, well, it looks weird. It makes people feel uncomfortable. But I feel like it was ahead of its time because now I feel like if it was released today, if Apple released glasses today, or I saw this amazing pair of augmented reality glasses at CES a couple weeks ago, people would be wearing these all over the place if they were affordable and no one would care. It'd be like, this is awesome. This is amazing. It was just a little too ahead of its time.
It stuck out a little bit. So on that note, my next question is, what is the 3 best tech gadgets or new entries into this world that you're most excited about that you want to share with our audience? It doesn't have to be necessary for creators. It could be just a smart home, because I know that was huge at CES. Since you were there and this is your domain, what are the 3 best things right now? Okay,
so one thing I saw at CES that was really cool, introduced to me by one of my creator friends, Kevin Neither. So drones, right? There's a company now that makes this drone security system. So it's for people who own a house.
Oh, wow.
So if you're in an apartment, it's not going to work. So you put these cameras around the perimeter of your home. So 4 cameras, right?
So are they cameras that are flying?
No, the cameras are not flying. The cameras just stay outside your house, and you can tell them, I want you to detect people, animals, vehicles, whatever it might be. And so you can kind of customize. It's like only people after 11 p.m. I want to care about, whatever it might be. When it detects something based on the parameters you give it, a drone box in your backyard opens up and a drone deploys and flies around to where it sensed the motion or the danger.
My gosh.
gives you a live feed video, sends a notification to your phone and any phone of any other family members that you want to get the live feed, stays up in the air and starts recording whatever's happening in that area. So if there's a person there or an animal there, it takes cool and makes it practical. And this is practical because now I'm able to monitor automatically my home and make sure things are safe.
You're almost able to afford, well, I don't know, it might be really expensive right now, but we actually have it on the screen, but you're able to afford basically a security guard. I don't know why, but it's just like a screen capture of somebody's desktop. You're able to afford a security guard for your home, basically, right? Without actually having the human or the kind of like the cost or the headaches of having a person at your home. So that's nuts. Yeah. And I've always said this about drones. I'm a huge fan. In fact, I've gone out and shot a lot of drone stuff and it's fun, but there's just so many rules around it.
Right.
And it's limited where you can fly nowadays. So it's funny how popular they were. They weren't practical, but this is much more practical because it's around your house, right? Like you're going to probably have, they're going to allow you to, I think, is this the drone site? Play that video right there.
That's it.
Play that video.
Sunflower Labs. So imagine though, like you might have a video doorbell or something, but that doorbell doesn't move. So if someone goes around backyard, they're out of sight, but the drone will follow them.
It's crazy. It's showing the video right now.
Yeah, there it is. You can see that. It's just amazing. So that's one thing.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What's the next thing?
Next thing, future tech.
Okay.
Obviously I own a Tesla vehicle.
Yeah.
I am all in on the future of like self-driving vehicles.
Yeah.
And this CES was ridiculous for that. They've showed vehicles now that don't even have steering wheel.
Oh yeah.
It just has the seats, but the seats face each other now. And you get in the vehicle, you sit facing each other, vehicle closes, and it just takes you on your way. Now this is going to be 5-10 years in the future, but I really feel like we're on the cusp of the future being now. Like these are things that we've thought about as, that's 50 years in the future or whatever. And now we're almost there. Like 5 to 8 years from now, we're going to be seeing, when I leave this podcast and I get in my car and go home, it's going to drive me home on the freeway. Yeah. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So the future of transportation, I think, is just incredible.
Yeah.
And how freeing that's going to be, not just the people who can drive, because a lot of people who drive, but when you commute and stop and go traffic, it's just very draining. Then you get home and you just want to, you're done for the day. So imagine having more of that energy at the end of the day. And imagine for people who can't drive right now, who need people to drive them places. Yeah. It opens up freedom for a lot of people.
And
that's the car right there.
Yeah. What is it? What tell us about this car?
This is called Cruise. And so Cruise is a company making these autonomous vehicles that, think of it like it's the size of a car, but since they take away a bunch of the stuff that's in the car, it's more spacious. Yeah. But it would be more like a taxi or even a multi-person taxi, like your own personal bus.
It almost reminds me of like a gondola or, like when you go to, I don't know if you go skiing, but the ski lifts, right? The ones that are enclosed. It's like that, but on wheels.
On wheels.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I've seen that. So you're saying it's closer than we think.
It's closer than we think. And imagine, there's the idea of owning a car. Yeah. Or renting a car or taking public transportation. There's going to be a point in the future where there's no need to own a car. When you need a car, instead of ordering an Uber where someone drives to you, you just order an autonomous vehicle that comes to you and takes you to your destination without you having to pay a car payment, insurance, parking, any of that. And if you own a car, like my Tesla, for example, I'm going to be able to say, okay, I go to work, I get to work at 9 and I leave work at 5. So between the hours of 10 and 4, go ahead and drive people around. Yeah. And I'll make money with my car while I'm at work. Yeah. And then just make sure you're back by, 4:45 so I can get home. Yeah. So that's just, to me, that's crazy, cool, futuristic.
And then one more last one. Anything small like a gadget or again, something that surprised you?
What surprises me? I mean, this is an honest answer. People may think it's corny, but this right here, man. Like,
oh yeah.
What we can do with this device. This is my
iPhone 11 is game changer.
This is my iPhone 11 Pro, but it doesn't have to be an iPhone.
Yeah.
But as you said, there are people who read their audiobooks right here. I will go to CES and shoot my B-roll with this phone go home, edit my videos, and not one person will comment, "Oh, this sucks. This was shot at," like it's 4K. It looks professional. The photos that I take, like, you can run your business. In fact, Gary Vaynerchuk runs his business from his phone. He doesn't even have a computer. What we can do with these devices, and again, I don't know if it's because of my age or what, but to me,
No.
a 6-inch piece of glass and metal this thin that can fit in my pocket that allows me to talk face to face with anybody on the planet, no matter where I am, is insane.
Yeah, the last time
I appreciate
for
smartphones.
sure. And I think that's a great ending, because I think with tech, obviously they're always coming out with new stuff, that flying security drone, self-driving cars, but the technology that's getting put into this device is great for us creators, because it's just making it easier. You don't have to have a DSLR anymore, right? And as long as the image stability gets better and the lenses are ridiculous. I used to have a Nokia 3390. Okay, you remember those phones? A tiny little brick. And I had that thing forever. I think like 7 years I had that phone, and I didn't, or maybe a little less, maybe 5 years. I didn't upgrade until the iPhone came out.
Okay.
So I kept that one. I kept buying old ones or whatever, because I was just so comfortable with it. And whenever something makes such a huge splash, that's when I get interested into tech. And I'd say right now with the iPhone 11, I don't have it ironically, but the iPhone 11 is the game changer, because I truly do believe you do not need a camera now. You can create content 100% and even continue doing it at like a high level with just your iPhone 11, because the lenses and that's the one thing about a phone that sets itself apart from a camera is the computing power. So, and the speed. So you literally take the picture and go right to an editing app, right? And then you post it right there.
You're done. Your whole workflow right there.
Quick.
And like now, Samsung's about to launch a phone in a few weeks with a 108 megapixel camera, 10 times optical zoom. Like, these devices that we carry in our pockets, I think we take for granted a lot of the time, but these are some, like, it's incredible. Everything you can do with this device from start to finish for your whole workflow in your pocket, insane.
You heard it from a tech influencer, content creator, Andru Edwards. If you guys want to see all of our interviews that we've done with him, we've actually done, I think, 2 of them. Click or tap the screen right here. If you guys are new to this channel, this is Video Influencers. Make sure you subscribe for more videos by clicking or tapping the screen right here. We'll see you next Saturday.